What's going on, you guys? Welcome back. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a very simplistic summer bronzy dewy glowy wet makeup look. Like, I'm all into this. I'm going to run through the product, show you guys exactly what I'm using. I did use a mixture between high-end and affordable makeup, but definitely keep in mind you can use whatever products you have at home. As long as you guys follow the techniques, the tips and tricks, you'll definitely get a similar effect. So kick back, relax. It's going to be a pretty fun video. Subscribe if you guys haven't already, and also turn on those notifications so that way YouTube will notify you when I upload. With that, let's zoom in and let's get started. Let's go. Okay, so to start, my face is already moisturized and I do have sunscreen on. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of the Milk Hydro Grip Face Primer. I'm gonna use this to prime my skin for longevity. This really helps keep my makeup on and in place. Now, I know it's really difficult right now, especially like to wear foundation and stuff like that, because you have to literally wear a mask everywhere. So if you do have to wear a mask, you can literally do like from the eyes up. I'm actually thinking about doing like a mask makeup look where I don't really focus too much on foundation, but more so like how to play up your eyes. So let me know how you guys would feel about that. So now that my skin is nice and primed, you can see that it is a little bit tacky to touch. That's definitely a good thing. That means anything I put on top of it is really going to stick and adhere to it for a long period of time. I'm going to move on to color corrector. I will be using this one right here by LA Girl. It's one of my tried and true. It's what I love to use. Now, this does have a paint on applicator, and because I am struggling with acne, I saw one of your comments that said that I shouldn't be putting my color corrector directly over top of active breakouts. Right now I don't have any active breakouts. I just have some congestion that hasn't came to the surface yet, but I'm still going to apply it on the back of my hand first, and then I'm going to tap it onto the areas where I struggle with darkness. I do put this peach color corrector all over the areas where I do have scarring and such from acne, so that way my foundation base looks extremely flawless. So I'm just going to tap this on all the areas where I feel like I personally need it. I also like to take a little bit of this underneath my eyes as well, because I do have a little bit of darkness peeking through. So I'm just gonna go to town and blend. For foundation, I will be doing a cross mix between the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. I'm actually going to boost the NARS foundation with this, because while I do want some coverage, I still want it to remain very skin-like, so I don't want it to be like a mask or anything like that. Then I'm going to take a foundation brush like this. This one is by Fenty. I'm going to pick up some of that foundation, and I'm just going to start buffing it into the skin to cover up that color corrector. So I'm really just going to take my time with this. As you can see, it's giving me great coverage without being too much all at once. It still looks very natural and skin-like, which I love. I'm also going to drag this down my neck, just so that way I don't have a horrid foundation line. But so far, I'm really loving this coverage. I think it's looking insanely beautiful, very dewy, very radiant, which is exactly what we're going for. Literally obsessed with this coverage right here. Now, if you guys don't own the Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation by NARS, something else you could use is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Dewy. I think that will make a really great alternative to this foundation. Now I'm going to move on. I'm going to go in with some concealer. Now, I'm not going to go in with heavy concealer or use my concealer to heavily highlight. I'm really just going to use it to enhance and brighten up the center of my face. I didn't really put any of that foundation right there underneath my eye, so I'm going to take the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. This one here is in the shade Canel, and I'm just going to do a few dots here, and then I'm also going to bring it up right over here, just to lift my eyes a little bit. Now, this is a concealer that I have loved forever. I just haven't reached for it in my collection. Why? I have no idea, because it's such a gorgeous formula. I'm also going to take some here and here on my chin to highlight, and then with the sponge, I'm going to take a little bit of that concealer, dip the sponge into the concealer. You guys know this is kind of like my go-to. It's what I love to do to blend out concealer, and then I'm going to look up and start to really buff and blend it out. So you guys can definitely see that I use that concealer to brighten, but I didn't use too much of it to the point where it was like a mask all over. I know that's definitely a big thing whenever you guys are watching me. I tend to go a little bit heavy-handed when it comes to concealer, but whenever I'm doing a makeup look like this, I want to make sure I go in with as little concealer as possible to just highlight and brighten a little bit. Now, because I live in Florida, I literally cannot get away with not setting my makeup. It's hot, it's humid. If I don't set it, it's gonna slip and slide throughout the day.
I'm melting! Melting! Oh, what a world! What a world!
So I do like to go in with some kind of powder to really just set things in place. And I'll use something like this. This is by Catrice. This is the Prime and Fine Mattifying Powder, and it's waterproof. If you don't have this in your collection, Rimmel also has a really, really awesome one that you can use. These powders are very lightweight, so they're not gonna look too heavy or anything like that on the skin. So I'm gonna take a fluffier brush and I'm just going to lightly set underneath my eyes, just so that way this does not crease on me. I'm not gonna take this all over my face as of right now because I am gonna go in with a little bit of cream contour. I'm just gonna stick this right here underneath my eye. So now that that is done, I am gonna go in with some cream bronzer by Fenty. This one is my tried and true. It is the Matchstick in the shade Mocha. I feel like this matches my skin tone perfectly. It blends out like a dream, and I literally have no issues whenever I'm using this product. So I'm gonna take this brush right here by Sephora. I don't know what, oh, it's actually a number 47 brush. I like that it's angled because I feel like it fits really, really nicely, like right here in this area. So I'm gonna use this to create some dimension and really enhance my face for that bronzy glow. So now that I have a little bit of contour going, I'm gonna go in with this setting brush by Real Techniques. My bad. In my last video, I said that this was a highlighting brush, and one of you guys corrected me in the comments. It is a setting brush. I'm gonna use this right here to just give my nose some color, kind of chisel it out a little bit without it being too much. So I'm really just going to take this down the bridge just to give me a little bit of definition. Let's move on to cream blush. You guys know I have a hate-love relationship with cream blush, but I feel like I finally got it down. The cream blush I'm going to be working with today is this one right here. This one is a part of the brand new Kendall and Kylie collection in the shade Runway. I am going to apply it with this brush right here. This is by Fenty. This is a number 125 face brush. I like to take cream products, especially like contours and blushes, and I like to work them onto my brush as opposed to putting a stripe on my face, because then I feel like it's way too hard to blend out and it kind of disturbs the foundation underneath. So I like to paint it onto the brush, and then I'll go in and just start tapping it onto my cheek. I don't swipe. I really like to tap and disperse it that way. I feel like I get such a beautiful, flawless finish. You see that? That is beautiful. Okay, so now that I have blush done, let's move on to the eyes. Now, for my base, I do want to use this product right here. It is going to be my first time using it. It's by Too Faced. It's the Melted Chocolate Matte Eyeshadow. It is a 24-hour crease-proof, waterproof, long-wearing product. This one here is in the shade Chocolate Bunny, and I'm going to use this as a base for my eyeshadow. I will be using a ColourPop eyeshadow palette, so that's definitely a plus. I like the applicator on this, but I am going to take it onto the back of my hand. Do you sense a trend here? Anytime I go in with product, I like to put it on the back of my hand first, just so that way I could really disperse it onto my brush and then apply it. I just feel like I have a little bit more control that way. So now that I have my brush nice and saturated, I'm gonna start at the base of my eye, and I'm gonna start tapping it and putting this all over my eyelid. Now, a little bit of this eyeshadow, this liquid eyeshadow, this cream eyeshadow goes a very, very long way. So definitely go in with a light hand. You definitely don't need a ton of product for this step because we're really just trying to create a really nice, soft, diffused, blown out brown all over the lid. And you want it to gradiate, you want it to be the darkest at the base, and then you want it to blend and gradiate out. So now that I have that shadow nice and blown out, I am going to go ahead and enhance the shadow a little bit in the inner and the outer corners with the Bare Necessities palette by ColourPop. I did recently haul this and I really love it. I feel like it is a staple palette in my collection. I'm going to pick up a little bit of this shade right here. It's called Tabloid, and the brush I'm using is by Sephora Collection. This is a number 19. I'm going to lightly start feathering this right here in the outer part of my lid. This is really just going to deepen things up and enhance that brown liquid eyeshadow that we put all over the lid. I'm gonna mix in a little bit of this shade right here. It's called Hot Gossip. As you can see, Tabloid is just a little deeper. And the reason I'm going in with Hot Gossip is because I really wanna use that shadow to diffuse out the edges. So I'm just going to take this in my crease. And I just switched over to an M433 by Morphe to do this step right here. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more of that shade called Tabloid, and I'm gonna stick it right here in like the very inner part of my lid. This definitely takes me back to the days where I would always do a halo eye. Like, I was obsessed with doing halo eyes for so long. I kind of fell off doing them, but this just kind of takes me back a little bit. Once I have that shade placed, I'm gonna take a little bit of that soft brown and just kind of like diffuse it out with that M433. All right, and since we're here, I'm gonna mimic exactly what I did on my upper lid, on my lower lash line. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit of that shade called Hot Gossip, and I'm just going to start feathering it in the very outer part. I'm sorry if you guys hear that. Somebody's literally mowing their lawn in the middle of my video. Like, if that's not rude, I don't know what is, but we gotta keep going. We got things to do. Okay, so I am gonna take Hot Gossip, and I'm just placing it right in this area, and I'm gonna skip the center, and then I'm going to place it in the very inner corner. Now, I know my eyes are creasing just a little bit, but trust me when I tell you, when I go in with my blending brush, it'll kind of get rid of all of that happening. I don't know what it is, no matter what concealer I use, no matter what powder I use to set, my under eyes have just been creasing like crazy. So I feel like whenever I go in with my lower lash line shadow, it just kind of cleans everything up and it looks a little bit more put together. I'm going to take a fluffier brush with a little bit of Hot Gossip, and I'm really just going to blow out and diffuse the shade because I feel like that's what's really going to make the look. I'm also going to stamp on a little bit of the deeper shade called Tabloid just in the outer and inner corners on my lower lash line. Before I actually go in with my lid shade, I definitely want to go in with some brown liner. I'm going to use this right here by NARS. This is the High Pigment Long Wear Eyeliner in the shade Mambo, and I'm just going to place it right here and create some definition on my upper lash line. Then once I have it placed, I'm just going to use a flat brush to really buff and blend it out so that way it's not so stark and harsh. Let's go in with our lid color, which is definitely the star of the show. I'm gonna go in with the Power Chrome Loose Eye Pigment in the shade Shockum by NARS. This is so incredibly beautiful. I do find that it applies a lot better with your finger, so I'm just going to pick up a little bit and I'm gonna go to town and just start tapping it all over the center of my lid. I'm just gonna take a brush now and I'm gonna kind of blend it into the crease a little. And then just go in with that brush and just kind of blend the brown just so that way it just melts everything. But do you see what I mean? Like, this is such a gorgeous show-stopping shade that definitely steals the show. Like, it is gorgeous. I'm obsessed with it. It makes the eyes look so wet, glossy, but they're not. Like, this is not a glossy product by any means, but it makes my eyes look so juicy. I'm gonna take a fluffy brush and a little bit of that Rimmel powder I showed you guys earlier, and I'm just gonna use it to self-set underneath my eyes a little bit because, like I said, my under eyes tend to crease quite a bit, so I definitely want to make sure this area is nice and set. I do have some shimmer that fell on my cheek, so maybe do your eyes first and then do your base if you don't want any shimmer sitting on your cheeks. I'm gonna take a little bit of that Rimmel powder and then just powder down the center of my face, also my forehead, because it's looking a little extra shiny. For lashes today, I will be using individual lashes. I'm gonna use the Ardell Double Up Lashes, which I've been using in almost every single one of my videos recently. So I'm gonna put these on and then I'll come back and we'll finish off the face. So now that I have my individual lashes on, I'm gonna go in with the NARS Laguna Bronzer. This is the original. They also launched matte bronzers, but I'm gonna use this one to set down the cream bronzer that we put on before, because like I said, I live in Florida, so this is like a must for me. And then with that same setting brush, I'm just going to set the cream that was on my nose. Y'all already know how this goes. You set your creams with powder so that way they last a lot longer. It's still gonna give you a really beautiful dewy natural effect. As you can see, my base makeup doesn't look overly powdered at all. I'm gonna go in with the Prime and Fine mattifying powder in translucent and then just hit my nose because honey, we was looking a little shiny there. After that, I'm gonna go in with lips. I'm gonna use the BFF2 lip liner by ColourPop. You guys know I've been obsessed with this. I'm gonna use this to line my lips completely. Now, because this is more of a bronzy look, I'm gonna go in with the Afterglow Lip Balm in the shade Laguna and put it all over. And the highlighter I'm going to use today is this one right here by Persona Cosmetics. This is in the shade Zuma. This is a Cali Glow highlighter, and I'm just going to hit right here because it's not like a bronzy, glowy, wet look without a little bit of highlight. And this one's really, really pretty, especially for this look. I also like to just put it like up here. And I am going to apply a little bit more than usual because, I mean, this is a bronzy, wet, glowy look. And last but not least, I'm gonna go in with the Prime and Fine Dewy Glow Fixing Spray. This is by Catrice. You guys know I love this. All right, you guys, so I zoomed you out just so that way you can get a feel for the look as a whole. It's very beautiful. Like, it's bronzy, dewy, glowy. Like, the eyes look like they are actually wet. And I'm really, really into that. I hope you guys enjoyed watching today's, like, old school throwback makeup tutorial. And if you guys have any requests, leave them down below in the comments so that way I can look at them, check them out, and possibly film them for my next video. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe. Click that bell. Y'all already know the drill. And until next time, I'll be sure to catch you guys all on the next one. Deuces.